Hello, it's Film Frenzy. Ant-Man and the Wasp, the MCU's latest outing in their 20th film, just debuted in theaters. I did a ranking of all 20 yesterday, so now it's time to review Ant-Man and the Wasp based on 3 different categories, the first of which is direction and visuals. Ant-Man and the Wasp is an MCU film, so naturally it's going to have some pretty awesome fight scenes. The two standouts for me were one, the kitchen scene with Wasp. That was so cool, like the part you see in the trailers when she runs on the knives and all the different things she does trying to avoid the kitchen appliances and stuff. That was really fun and exciting, very different aesthetic from most Marvel fights. And then also the end car chase was really cool. It's just see like all the things, like the miniature things blown up, so that adds a unique aspect to just a standard Marvel fight, but without the shrinking and like enlarging. It's kind of just a little bit basic in terms of the aesthetic and the fight sequences. So it's still really good, but like it's not trying to be anything with some crazy colorful visuals like or unique like cinematography like films such as Thor Ragnarok or the Guardians of the Galaxy films or even Infinity War. So I can't give it the full 5 stars because it doesn't go that extra mile, but it's still really great. All just very well done in terms of direction and visuals, so I'm giving it a great 4.5 out of 5. Acting and character development is my next category to discuss. So most of Ant-Man and the Wasp's characters were already greatly established in the first Ant-Man film, and so naturally there's a lot of awesome characters to work with. Scott Lang is great, Paul Rudd does an amazing job, all the actors are great in this movie, they got a fantastic cast. They got Michael Douglas, he's always great as Hank Pym, Evangeline Lilly's great as Hope Pym, they got Michelle Pfeiffer to be Janet, who's like the mom. And then they also got Lawrence Fishburne, and Michael Pena always steals the show. I love David Dastmalchian, I think is his pronunciation, and T.I. They both did an awesome job as the other like ex-cons that are friends with Scott Lang. So overall, the characters were really fun to watch, and they were really hilarious. But I feel that like some of the like character like relationships, they didn't go the extra mile. Like, for example, they established a lot of great stuff with Bill Foster, who's the character of Lawrence Fishburne, and same with the villain. I think she was played greatly, but I feel like they could have really... It's a very unique Marvel villain. I'm not going to spoil it here, but you'll see why she's very different from like other ones in terms of her motives. And I feel like they didn't really go the extra like mile in terms of like they established great foundations, but they didn't really like discuss like the morals and stuff as much as I would like. And I feel like they kind of just took the easy way out in terms of fleshing out her character, which was a shame, I felt like. And then they also there's 3 different like father-daughter relationships kind of. One is of course with Hank Pym and Hope, who's Evangeline Lilly's character. Then there's Scott Lang and his daughter, and then the villain and her, well, not her actual dad, but kind of like almost adopted dad. I'm not gonna do any spoilers, but those are the main 3. And I feel like they never really released a consensus on the 3, which kind of ties into the theme, which I'll talk about later. But I feel like they should have really kind of like had this like father-daughter relationship. They had like, a lot of great things going, but they didn't go the extra mile in terms of talking about the theme. So I think they had a lot of great stuff. So I'm still giving it a really solid 4 out of 5 for acting and character development. I wish they went a little farther since they were already so close. My final and most important category to talk about is plot, pacing, script, and theme, or the story elements. This is my most important category of the 3 for sure, because it ties in a lot of different like core elements of the film into all one idea, which is story. The first one is plot. And so when I first started watching Ant-Man and the Wasp, I was like, wow, this plot kind of seems really cool. It started off in this like really interesting way, and it felt very different than the first film, because I love the intro to the film where it's like Michael Douglas, he's talking about like how Janet Van Dyne, his wife, was lost and stuff in the quantum realm and stuff like that, and it kind of felt like almost was going to be like a treasure hunt, like to find her in a way. But then I felt like the plot just kind of got really repetitive because it's a very basic plot. Basically, it's really just that the lab that Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne create is like it's like can be miniaturized. The one you saw in the trailers, that building, and anyway, that's how they're gonna access Janet Van Dyne in the quantum realm. But it's also wanted by Walton Goggins' character, who's like a black market dealer type character who's really in it for like the money and stuff. And then also wanted by Ghost, who's the villain, for her own purpose that I'm not going to spoil. So, Anyway, it kind of just felt repetitive from there. It just kept on going a bunch of back and forths, like, oh, Scott Lang's out of his house for his house arrest. It's a close call, but it gets back in time. Stuff like that. I felt like it just kind of kept on going over and over again, and like, there's only so much you can do when there's a MacGuffin, which is the building, and they're all trying to get it and stuff. And I felt like the conclusion was a little bit too abrupt. Now I'm talking about pacing, I guess. That how it kind of had a solid, like, first act was solid pacing, but second act got really slow because of the repetitive plot, which is a problem with a lot of films in the second act, like, kind of slogging behind. But then this film's third act I thought was a little bit too abrupt also. So I felt 2 of the 3 acts didn't have great pacing or anything, because it felt like it was just kind of tied too neatly together at the end, besides an amazing post-credit scene I'm not going to discuss, of course, but it's actually the mid-credit scene. It's really fantastic. Make sure to stay. Then, in terms of the script, I think this is probably one of the high points, probably the high point of this category, because the script is hilarious. Yes, there are some jokes that are a little bit repetitive compared to, like, some other jokes that are in the movie, but it's hilarious. I love Michael Pena. He does one of those stories again that's awesome. This movie just has tons of comedy, sometimes to compensate for the weak plot, and it doesn't really hurt your enjoyability. I mean, this is such an enjoyable movie to watch because the dialogue is great, even the dramatic dialogue is awesome, which is, again, a really good foundation, but they don't expand on the dramatic dialogue in terms of theme. I feel like there really wasn't a core theme, like, which is a big problem because I feel like most MCU films do have a core theme. I feel like this one was completely void of one, which was a shame because there's a lot of great emotional conversations in here, and I felt like they didn't tie them together, like I said before, about, like, the 3 father-daughter relationships. So that's kind of my main beef with this category. Overall, I give Ant-Man a 3.5 out of 5 for this category. It has some solid plot lines, and it's just so enjoyable to watch in terms of, like, the script because it's hilarious, and there are a lot of great conversations in here. And that first act I thought was really solid, but it also lacks theme and has other problems I discussed, so that leads me to my overall score. Overall, I think it's fun to watch in a visual speaking way, but it's not, like, over the top, like, in terms of awesomeness, visually speaking, with cinematography or anything like that. It has great actors, great cast, but some of the characters could be a little bit better developed and have better developed relationships. And then 3, there was no theme really. There was some great conversations and some great dialogue. There was an okay plot line that I felt got too abrupt at the end with the pacing and too slow in the middle. So overall, I'm giving Ant-Man and the Wasp a solid 3.75 out of 5. Overall, I think this is one of the weaker MCU films, which is still a not bad thing because 3.75 out of 5 is really just a good score still. So I think you should definitely see this film. It's so enjoyable to watch, but I was a little underimpressed. I still think the first Ant-Man is better. So thank you for watching my review of Ant-Man the Wasp that's now out in theaters. Check back to see my ranking of all 20 MCU films, which I just put up yesterday. And I'll see you guys later from Film Frenzy. Bye.